Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to another episode of our review films currently in theaters. Today I am talking about The Marsh King's Daughter. So The Marsh King's Daughter was directed by Neil Berger and stars Daisy Ridley as Helena, this woman who is the daughter of this other woman who was kidnapped by this guy that would go on to be called the Marsh King, played by Ben Mendelsohn. And while her mother was in captivity, she ended up giving birth to Helena and basically being forced into this really weird family dynamic. They ended up managing to escape the Marsh King, resulting in his imprisonment, and the film largely takes place years later when Helena is this has this full grown woman. She's working a normal desk job and has a husband and a daughter of her own. And her father ends up escaping prison, and she believes that her father is going to come after her family. So, this movie is based off a book that I've never read before, but I kind of went into it expecting one thing and it not really delivering. When I first saw the trailer, I thought it could be a nice little thriller, not really knowing when this guy was going to strike. But it ended up not really doing that. It ended up really trying to just breeze past all the really interesting story elements and ended up focusing on ones that really didn't add anything. For example, the opening sequence could have been a lot shorter. The opening sequence is basically showing us what her childhood was like. And it goes on for like 30 minutes, which is really long for an opening sequence, especially when you're trying to get like one point across that I think really early on you kind of get and understand. And I feel like it didn't need to be as long as it was. This results in later parts of the movie where you could have built more tension, built more suspense, being breezed past, and honestly, us feeling like the film's moving at a breakneck pace, just trying to get to the end of the film, and it doesn't really work. A movie like this needs to take its time to build suspense, put you on the edge of your seat, and really get you engrossed in what's going on screen. This film doesn't manage to do that that well. Now, that being said, I do think that this film has a better realized main character than a lot of other films I've seen before. I do think they managed to flesh out her emotional conflict in regards to her father really well done in this film. I do think that this film manages to do that largely because, again, that opening sequence is as long as it is. Not only that, but they managed to fully flesh her out as a character, and we fully understand why she thinks the way she thinks. Now, that being said, the rest of the characters kind of get the shaft here. Her husband doesn't play nearly as big as a role as he really should, especially considering he is basically supposed to be her only emotional support in this movie, especially later when he finds out what she is and who her father is. There's this random subplot with her stepfather, who honestly could have been cut from the film because he does nothing as of importance here. Honestly, the only other character that has any really decent screen time that really adds anything is the daughter of our main character. The relationship that they have is really well done, and I really enjoyed those two on screen together. Our bad guy gets some cool scenes, but honestly, he's not as fleshed out as he really could be. Now, the performances. Going into this movie, I knew Daisy Ridley was going to be basically the standout performance, and that she was probably going to be the only reason to go see this movie. I am not surprised to tell you that that's exactly true. She basically carries this movie on her back. Not that anyone else in the film is doing a bad job, it's just they clearly really didn't buy into the roles that they were given as much as Daisy did. And I really enjoyed seeing her on screen. And I do think that she made this movie more watchable than it would have been otherwise. Visually, the film's fine. There's nothing here to really talk about. The cinematography is pretty good. The action beats are pretty standard. There's not a whole lot to talk about when we're talking about the visuals. The music, same type of thing. Honestly, the music's kind of lame. It's the same like soundtrack beats you would expect to hear in a low budget thriller like this, and it just doesn't add anything to the movie as a whole. Speaking of the movie as a whole, yeah, it's kind of just meh. I mean, it's not awful. I have seen really awful movies before, and this definitely doesn't qualify. It's just bland. You go into this film, and within the first few minutes, you kind of get the idea and setup, and you kind of know where the film is going to go, and there is no unexpected twists and turns. You can probably predict how this film is going to end if you've seen any thriller before. I did, anyway. At the end of the day, this film is going to get a 5 out of 10 for me. I don't hate it, and if you've read the book, maybe I'm missing something here. But as far as recommendations go, I don't recommend this one to many people. It's not a long movie. It kind of feels like a slog at times, though. It's really just a movie I would skip. There are definitely better movies currently in theaters, and I definitely wouldn't go see this one again. Anyway, that's my opinion on The Marsh King's Daughter. If you've seen it, comment below what you thought about it, and if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.